Monday, April 18th, 2022, 2 p.m. And I'd like to call to order the Education Committee. We'll start off with an invocation by myself. Father God, we just come before you today just thanking you for another opportunity to be before you and to have this chance to hear information that can better the lives of each and every citizen in the city of Birmingham. We thank you, Father God, for the information and the speakers that are coming forth today, that somebody will take the information and go forth with it and it really benefit them in a major way. So we just thank you, we praise you, and we love you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Counselors, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to, but we'd love for you to review the minutes. And after you've had an opportunity to, I'd like to get a motion for approval.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Those minutes have been approved. Today we have two special presentations that are coming before us that I'm really excited about. And so I know the first up we have the Southern Museum of Flight, Mr. Brian Barzanti, and Daphne Dunn. Miss Daphne is not here today, is she?
Did not make it up.
Okay. You're just fine.
All right. I don't know if your office had a chance to get my PowerPoint, but so I didn't know if it was going to appear.
Okay.
So, if anything, though, it was more for me, just to keep me on task.
Got you.
So I didn't, run off on a tangent. Because if there's anything I like more than what I do, it's having the opportunity to get out in the community and talk about it, and certainly share with you all. And and Mr. Chair, I wanted to thank you for the invitation,
Absolutely,
as well as members of the committee. But again, in person, especially since I've been live streaming the council meetings on Tuesday from either my office or from conference rooms D&E down the hall. So it's good to get back to some sense of normalcy. I have to say thank you again to Mr. Chairman for coming by the museum a couple of weeks ago, sitting down and talking with me about the educational opportunities at the museum. And when you extended the invite to present before the committee today, I decided to make this kind of threefold. When it comes to the presentation, I wanted to talk about some of the current happenings, sort of the current climate, what we have on the horizon here in the short term as we wrap up an academic semester and then move into the summer, and then talk about a little bit and wrap up with what's on the horizon with some of our big programming opportunities and what's yet to come. The first thing I wanted to talk about then with regard to some of the current happenings, and we're seeing this with a number of our attraction partners here in Birmingham, our cultural arts partners, museums, attractions, and whatnot, is we're seeing an uptick in attendance gradually. We're getting to that point right now, and our numbers look pretty similar to others. We're seeing, somewhere in the 60 to 80% of what we would consider like a normal year, right prior to everything that was 2020 and all of the pandemic mitigation that extended right into 2021 and then into a little bit of this year. So that's good stuff, right? Especially considering with the Southern Museum of Flight, we could see anywhere between 50 and 60,000 visitors in a calendar year. And we would see roughly two-thirds, some 60% to two-thirds of that attendance come from our K through 12 world, with a huge percentage of that coming from Birmingham City Schools. So it's good to see that as we start to wrap up this particular semester. We saw a good uptick in the spring break weeks, and now we're seeing schools start to pick up with field trips as we wrap up this year. We're looking forward to even more normalcy as we move into the next academic year after this summer. Also wanted to give you all a few updates regarding some summer programming. So this summer, our camps are back in person, and this is great. So after a hiatus in 2020, after a hiatus in 2021, because we still weren't sure with a lot of the mitigation efforts last summer how things were going to pan out, we decided to wait and see. So this year we're bringing it back in person. Our first summer camp is going to be June 6th through June 10th. It'll be a week long. And then our second camp will be June 20th through June 24th. And we have an opportunity this year to provide scholarships to Birmingham City School students. We're currently working with principals, administrators, and counselors at two of our Birmingham City schools for students with regard to these camps coming up this summer. One is going to be at Inglenook in your district, Counselor, and the other at Barrett, Counselor, which I believe is in your stock. And then we look to expand this, into future years, offering more scholarships to more programming, camps included, to include, every district throughout the city. So I wanted to make mention of that. And speaking of our camps, the students have an opportunity not only to engage in what we have to offer at the museum site, and in previous years we've done things like a robotics camp where we partnered with Auburn University and did a robotics themed camp. We did one with UAB that was engineering camp, so it was mechanical engineering oriented, all the way into aerospace. This year it has a very STEM component, and we're engaging with some local high school teachers to bring STEM opportunities to the campus this year. But also we're looking at off-campus opportunities. We really want to expose these students to things that they otherwise perhaps wouldn't be able to see or experience in their day-to-day lives, such as a tour of the Birmingham International Airport, such as a tour of the tower. We want to take them out to the 117th Air Refueling Wing, our local flying unit here at the airport. In years past, they've had the opportunity to get on board the aircraft, climb around that thing, see how those things operate, engage with members of the Air National Guard. So it's a very interactive piece of a broad interactive program throughout that entire week. So I wanted to make mention of those cool things. There's also a GameStop component this year, so a little bit of an infotainment component, whereby we partner with GameStop to bring the PlayStation and Xbox experience to our young people through flight simulation and other programming. So, we can turn this, right, what everybody's used to, into something like this, all right, and beyond, with the virtual reality component and the headsets. And this stuff is truly amazing. And that's a great partnership that we look to extend to our traditional programming in the regular years. So there's a little bit of the current climate, a little bit of what's coming up in the short term with regard to our campus this summer, and I wanted to wrap up with this component. And seeing my friends from Lawson State Community College here really helped to emphasize this particular component of our operation, and that's with regard to workforce development. If anything, through 2020 and all of the pandemic mitigation taught us when it comes to running a museum, is that you simply can't be a museum that puts an artifact on display with a little placard by it, says what it is, and expect to survive, right? And we were on the cusp of this prior to the pandemic with all of our educational programming. An example would be this. We opened up all of our programming to all academic disciplines, and what we did with those programs, we aligned them with the Alabama Course of Study standards. So regardless of grade, K through 12, regardless of academic discipline, social studies, science, language arts, the arts, we had curriculum built in for those respective teachers to bring those students to the museum. So we were already on this cusp. So back in 2019, when we were looking at entertaining a road of workforce development, it wasn't a far cry from what we already do. We really view it as an extension of our already existing programs, which we viewed as an extension of the traditional classroom. It's just that we get to do things in the museum environment that students simply can't do in the traditional classroom. So we tested this workforce development programming as part of a broad feasibility study as we moved into 2020, and it wrapped up last year, and it tested very favorably. As part of that feasibility study and additional studies, we looked at gaps in the industry. And what we found is this. We're seeing this across industries, and aviation in particular, and that's where it hits home for us. But our baby boomer generation is retiring at great rates, right? After the World War II generation comes home, right, there's a population or birth rate boom. The boomers, they're retiring. And again, we're seeing this across industries, not just in aviation, but they're doing so at such an alarming rate, it's leaving huge gaps. So we looked at gaps in the industry, and where could we help fill those gaps? It made good sense for us with regard to maintenance, and aviation maintenance in particular, because that's one of our wheelhouses. Plus, we have the infrastructure for these things. We've got the hangars, we've got the power plants, we've got the airframes, we've got potential faculty. It just made good sense as to what we could offer and bring to the table. And then we looked at another gap. And I think about these gaps too, and thinking about Dr. Okwin, your background, some of the conversations we've had in the past regarding veterinary medicine and research, right? And as a researcher, those pursuing a DVM, a PhD, an MD, as part of their dissertations, they're always looking at gaps, right? Gaps in the literature. Where do these gaps exist? We wanted to see where these gaps existed. And another gap was that the offerings for these respective programs were just not existent here in the Birmingham area. So therein lied another gap, right? And our community college partners, like they're represented tonight, do a great job with regard to workforce development, helping identify these gaps. We aim to work with our community college partners as well as other partners within this realm of workforce development, AIDT and others, to help fill gaps in the industry, help bring jobs to the Birmingham area. Birmingham in particular is where our heart is. It's where we want to cultivate the next generation of leaders within this industry. And then we looked at other opportunities, pathways to additional higher education routes. We use this as a good example. Our friends at Southern Union Community College do a similar thing in aviation maintenance, and they offer a pathway to the bachelor's degree at Auburn, whereby they can parlay a 2-year degree that aligns with an aviation maintenance certification into a bachelor's degree. And that's great. We want to do that with our partners at UAB, with our partners at Tuskegee, Alabama A&M, say within engineering and other realms. And we do this too by incubating these programs. So I wrap up with this. A huge component of our workforce development initiative is arming our folks with the information, arming our folks with information about opportunities that are available for our young people. You know, I think about my experience in high school and what I've seen since then as an educator in the K through 12 world and beyond, is that, you know, our counselors, there's just not enough of them, right? Our schools are large, and the counselors aren't aware simply of every single opportunity out there. It's not their fault. They just aren't. Our teachers and administrators. So it's incumbent upon us to arm them with this information. So as part of our programming, a broad awareness campaign within our elementary schools, things like camps, after-school programs, all the way up to our high school kids, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade dual enrollment opportunities for our young people, whereby we transition the museum into almost a hybrid educational center / workforce development training center, creating a new model. And what this does for us is it helps us in redefining several things. We redefine what it means to be a museum in this 21st century, post-pandemic. We redefine what it means to be higher education. And we redefine what it means to be blue and white collar as we expose our young people to opportunities and earning potential within these respective fields. We also redefine one other thing, and this has been really interesting. It's where my friends at the community college system have done a really good job in filling a gap, and that's with the traditional trade school. When we were back in school, kids left high school and they went on a couple of paths, right? Some students went into the military, and that was great. The path was laid out before them. Some students went to college, and it was great because those paths were laid out before them. Counselors equipped them with the information to that respective discipline, and that's what they did. Others went into the workforce or to a trade school. Our community college friends have done a good job in filling that gap and almost redefining what it means to be a community college and a trade school, and that through these workforce development programs. And that's what we aim to do as well. This is very much in its infancy, but I really appreciate the opportunity to share these things with you all this morning and be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing all of that information. I knew that you all were doing some pretty cool and amazing things over there, but I think that, like you said, it's very important for platforms like this to be created, for you to be able to share to a much wider audience, and for them to know that we have a gym right there in the city of, or right here in the city of Birmingham. I'm going to pass it to my colleagues to see if they have any questions or any statements that they want to make. I'll go with you, Mr.
Sure. Well, you know, I just want to say thanks for the work that you guys continue to do. I think my own child has had, you know, a lot of different influences, but you know, he's now, you know, kids' priorities change, but he says he wants to be a helicopter pilot, and I'm sure one of the influences that, you know, he's had is his participation at the Museum of Flight. I think he did one of the summer programs there where he got to do some simulation and things like that. Talking about the GameStop program, I don't think it can be understated or overstated how important kids' experiences, on their gaming platforms, with the various games that involve, they're basically flight simulators. In my own child's life, that's been hugely influential. So glad to see that there's a, collaboration there. I would be curious to hear, kind of what probably what we need to do, or at least I need to do, is get a tour out there at the facility and kind of, have you walk us around and show us the current state of affairs there and, get an assessment for what your needs might be and that sort of thing. That would be useful for me.
That'd be great, Counselor. I would welcome that opportunity. Again, if there's anything I like more than what I do is talking about it, and when I get to talk about it in front of it, it's even better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I definitely would try to piggyback on that visit as well, and just really appreciate kind of thinking about creating these opportunities. I was at the USFL game Saturday, and one of the things they're using is the drone to basically get these crazy camera angles and things like that. And so I got a chance. I mean, you got the guy in the Oculus type headset with the controller, and he's flying it, right behind the players and following them up and down the field and things like that. So it's just the application of learning these skills set, is just really all over the place. And so you don't really know where these things can lead. And so I think kind of making sure our kids have that access to those type of programs would be key.
Bring up a great one. Drones, right? Yeah. So popular now. And then you think, what happens to these drones? They break, and they need what? They need fixing and maintenance. And therein lies another gap. We don't have enough trained drone maintenance technicians. And you think of all the industries using drones. I mean, everybody, entertainment, sports, energy, manufacturing, right, construction. So therein lies another gap that we look to broaden these programs to include.
Yeah,
got a follow-up, talking about the drones, that makes me think of the World Games and the, drone sports that they're going to have there. Are you guys doing any special preparations for the World Games to, be able to receive guests or have some presence or participation in the World Games?
Yes, sir, we sure are. To be a support facility for the games and entertaining the athletes, their families, and tourists, certainly we're going to see an increase as we move through that time period. And definitely going to use that opportunity to expose folks to these opportunities to them. The drone events are one, and then there are also the air canopy races is another component to it. So it allows us several opportunities to do that. So that's another great point, sir. Yes, definitely are.
Tell me, I don't know what that is. What's an air canopy competition? Okay,
so I'm going to show my ignorance here. So typically, I believe the aircraft will provide the air racers who will jump out of the aircraft, and their parachutes will open. And I can't recall if there's something that they're flying over. It's a distance competition as to where they land from one point to another, whether or not it's over water or something else. It's a little. I'm a parachutist myself, but it's a little bit different than what I'm used to. But it looks like an exciting opportunity. However, in these World Games, what I believe they're going to do, because of the logistics out in the area that they're going to be utilizing, I believe they're going to be dropped from a helicopter, and that's going to allow for the athletes to be picked up, easily and go back up into the air with direct lift capabilities. But that looks to be an exciting thing. So, but the drone component too, tied into what we do. Absolutely, and we're approaching it much the same way we do for other events that we host at the museum in a support capacity. We do a similar thing for the Birmingham Bowl. Athletes, their families, coaching staff, and guests that come into town. We're just going to do this, on a broader scale.
Gotcha. I know, just speaking about the drones, one of the things that you told me about that was really interesting to me was about how, I guess, people in the roofing industry utilize drones because they're able to fly them over the roofs or the houses, and it cuts down on their liability and their insurance because they have an opportunity to just look at it without having to climb up there.
Right, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Right. And like Councilor Woods was mentioning too, anytime you would use other platforms, right, to shoot these angles, helicopters, aircraft, blimps, say, like at our sporting events, the drone just becomes a game changer in that respect. Certainly roofs, we sustained some roof damage, say, at the museum ourselves, and we were able to fly our own drones there, museum staff, to take an assessment of that damage through some of the recent storms. It's a great point.
Yeah, and one other thing that I think I remember from my visit was you telling me about during the pandemic or during 2020 when we had all of those planes from Delta that were here on site in the city of Birmingham. We didn't actually have enough mechanics to service those planes. And so things like what you all are doing as far as creating this pipeline of workforce development would ensure that, we have citizens here who are actually prepared and equipped to be able to be on the pathway to servicing or taking advantage of opportunities like that.
That's right. And if we're able to fill those gaps, like you mentioned, Counselor, and we're able to keep that business here in Birmingham, we're on the tip of another spear, and that's broader economic development. That's certainly needed on our side of Birmingham.
Gotcha.
You have another question. So I'm sure you're aware there's a charter school that's being, going to start up in the next spring, that is totally designed around aviation. It's called Aviation Academy, and so they're it's a normal school with a core curriculum, but they're very much about kind of steering these kids into aviation related jobs. I was just wondering if you've had any contact with them or there's any
Sure.
discussion about collaboration.
Sure, I'm certainly aware of the charter program, and I think I'm no expert on those schools. However, what I feel is attractive to them is our workforce development component, and much in the same way of something that is of great interest to me, and that's our various academies within Birmingham City Schools. And that's a direct target of ours with regard to these workforce development programs and not just the ones that you think would make sense on the surface, right? Like, let's say engineering at Carver and Ramsey, right? Makes good sense, right? Because of, say, a 2+2 program like I talked about earlier, whereby 10th, 11th, 12th graders can enroll in dual enrollment type classes, complete those on our campus, and then put that credit towards an associate's degree, and we provide a pathway for that student, say, to a program in engineering that already exists at Tuskegee or at UAB or in Alabama A&M. Or, say, a business student, right, which may not look like it on the surface, but you take, like, the Business Academy at Woodlawn. So, Business Academy student, we provide them with those dual enrollment capabilities, and then we give them, say, it's almost 25% of the courses that they would need towards the associate degrees we want to put in front of them. And they want to parlay that into a aviation management program, right? A little bit more specific, still within the business management realm, but within the industry. Then they parlay that into a bachelor's degree, say at an Auburn University. So therein lies another opportunity for us to take advantage of the infrastructure that already exists within Birmingham City Schools. And again, back to your first question, I think that's what was attractive to the charter type schools. But again, my focus is with our local school system first. We incubate this thing here at home, and then the thing can grow, right? To include more school systems other public schools. The great thing too, Counselor, is that the curriculum already exists within the Alabama Department of Education. There are a couple of aviation-related curricula that do exist, and we want to take advantage of that. That's certainly underutilized too, that we can take advantage of and become the hub right here in the Birmingham area.
Mr. Barzanti, I want to thank you again for coming out, doing this presentation, sharing this information with us, so that we can be more equipped with what are some of the opportunities here. If you could you give the address of the museum, please?
Sure. 4343 73rd Street North, Birmingham 35206.
Gotcha.
And you can always find more information on the website at southernmuseumoflight.org.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Next, we're going to have another group come up to talk to us about some workforce development opportunities. We have Lawson State Community College, Dr. James Gray, coming to speak to us. Thank you so much for being here.
All right. Welcome, and thanks for having us.
Yes, sir.
Also have my colleague here, Mr. Jason. Hey, I'll just give an overview of the programs that we currently offer and also talk about some of the partnerships that we offer. But with workforce development, in the previous workforce development over and over. College, we have, as far as workforce development, we have the liberty to customize training based on. So we're more of non-credit training, where you can come in more fast-track, short-term training, with training for specific. So right now, we offer, healthcare to manufacturing.
It's going in and out.
I'm sorry. Hello?
You take it out.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Okay, that's better. All right. And next slide, please. Okay.
Thank you for being able to, adapt and adjust.
Oh, yes. No problem at all. No problem at all. Make sure I keep the microphone close. Okay, so right now, we offer several programs, just ranging from, corporate training. We have a program called Ready to Work. We have our craft training programs, manufacturing and logistics, and also healthcare as well. Next slide, please. So for our healthcare programs, we offer just an array of different programs. Our most popular program right now is called our MAC program, which stands for Medication Aid. Our current class has about close to 40 students, and there's a short-term 8-week training program, and the cost is $1,300. But every program that we offer, we try to make sure that it has funding somewhere available for individuals who cannot afford to pay that cost out of pocket. So the majority of our programs are either funded through a partnership through a business and industry. It's also we make sure it's funded through WIOA funds, which stands for the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. And those funds are set aside for individuals to be retrained. And in order to determine if you're eligible for the WIOA funds, you have to go through the process at the Career Center, and they look at things such as your family household size, your income. Do you have any prior training? Do you have any certifications or degree? And that would determine if you are eligible for the WIOA funds. So we offer our medication aid program. We offer pharmacy tech. We have our certified medical assistant program. We used to offer phlebotomy, but what we did was we incorporated the phlebotomy into our certified medication aid assistant program. So now those credentials are stacked instead of just coming in just for one particular certification. Next slide, please. So our manufacturing and logistics training program right now, our most popular program that falls under the manufacturing and logistics is our logistics training certification. And so for our logistics training certification, as you know, over the past 2 years, we've been experiencing supply chain shortages. not only supply chain shortages, but also a shortage in workers as well. So what we're doing is we're trying to revamp the workforce that it was at pre-COVID. And even right now, not only, are we trying to revamp the workforce, but, we're trying to move out from more of the digital marketing and promotion that we've done over the past 2 years. That's why I'm standing with you today, so we can, take more of a grassroots approach, talk with you about the different programs that we have to offer, rather than just sending you an email or maybe some type of Zoom call or Zoom presentation. But for our logistics certification, there is a cost for that as well. We just completed a class of about, we started off with 68 people in that course, and we finished out with about 42. And they received 2 certifications, the Certified Logistics Associate and the Certified Logistics Technician. And they cover different objectives such as material handling, safety principles, quality control, packaging and shipping, shipments, inventory control, hazmat, product receiving, product storage. And we also have partnerships with different industry for our logistics program. We have 2 campuses in this area. Most of our training is conducted on the Bessemer campus, and the Bessemer area is more on a centralized location for a logistics hub or distribution centers. So you have Amazon, you have CVS distribution, you have Dollar General, Carvana, FedEx, UPS, all those different companies who have their operations for as far as distribution and logistics centered in that area. And so we're trying to, the programs that we develop, we're trying to make sure that they are in line with the business and industry in our service region. So the logistics is going to be our most popular program that falls under the manufacturing and logistics. We also have a production tech certification as well. Now, we also have incentives that we offer for completing this training. If you complete, and it's through grant funds that we have, which the grant funds are going to end in July. But for program completers, we're actually giving $300 for an individual who completes our logistics certification program and our production tech certification. We give you $300 for completion, and we actually, for the next course that we offer, we'll actually be issuing iPads to the individuals who enroll in the training, because most of the training is done virtually. They're the online, it's kind of self-paced. It's online modules that you complete, but there's also a hands-on piece to the training as well. But for the individuals who do not have technology at home, we will provide iPads to the people who enroll in the next class. I only have 33, so those iPads will be issued to, it's more of a first come, first served basis. And so that next class will start either the first or the second week in May. Next slide, please. So for our craft training, this is another, other programs that we offer right now. 2 of our most popular programs under the craft training is going to be our line worker training program, and we're also getting ready to start a free welding training program as well. It's offered at no cost. Now, our line worker program, we've partnered with Alabama Power to launch a 10-week training program. The students will go to class Monday through Thursday from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. For 10 weeks. They will receive a CDL Class A driver's license. They'll get their OSHA 10. They will get CPR, and we also do our Ready to Work certification and our MSSE safety certification as well. So they'll have a number of certifications once they complete the training. When they complete their training, they'll have the opportunity to interview not only with Alabama Power, but also other contracting companies. So I'm sure you've probably seen trucks around your area like Pike Electric, ULCS, UTEC, different companies like that. So if they're not hired by Alabama Power, then we bring those other contracting companies in to hire those students. And right now, this is the second year that we've offered our line worker training program, and we have about a 98% employment rate for that particular program. And the other 2%, people who didn't go to work, it was by choice, not by the fact that they weren't hired for some particular reason offered to them. But the application process, we only run 2 classes each year for our line worker training program, and it's in January and March. But our application goes live mid-August. The application stays up for about 3 weeks. We'll take the application down maybe after the first week in September. We'll conduct an assessment test on reading comprehension and mathematics. We'll bring the students in. After the assessment test, they will do a pole climbing assessment and interview. And we do the pole climbing assessment just to make sure they have the physical ability to climb the pole, and also make sure they're not afraid of heights. So we don't want to have to call the fire department out just to bring them down, just when they get up to the top of the pole. So make sure they have the physical ability to get up to the top of the pole, because you're talking about between 30 and 50 feet in the air. And we'll bring them back down. We do interviews. Once the interview is complete, we will do a drug screen, and we'll start the pre-certification work. Now for our 2, so we make the selection for example, the 2023 class, the selection for those classes will be made at the end of October of this year. So that selection process goes from first week in September through the end of October. And the class capacity for the line worker program is going to be January, and then after spring break in March, that next class will start. So that's our line worker program, is one of our most popular programs, and we're bringing in a lot of different high schools, doing some career exploration. We have trying to get a lot of different exposure for that particular program. We also have scholarships available for the line worker program as well, and it's also funded through WILA. So if you don't qualify for the scholarship, you can see if you're eligible for the WILA funds, and if you're not, then the option would be to pay out. Next slide, please. So our Ready to Work program, it's a program designed to create more of a qualified applicant pool. Certifications for a 5-week training program. It can be done either virtually or in person. And for the Ready to Work program, you'll receive 2 certifications. The first certification you'll get will be the National Career Readiness Certificate, and then you'll also receive the Alabama Certified Worker Certification. And the Ready to Work, it covers topics like time management, conflict resolution, workplace ethics and behaviors, workplace safety, job prep. And so what that does is, for us, like I said, we're trying to create a qualified applicant pool. So when individuals go through that particular training, a lot of companies we work with, they'll give them a priority interview if they know they went through Ready to Work. Simply because it ultimately helps the turnover rate for that particular company, because they know they've been trained on time management or workplace ethics and behaviors. And for completing the Ready to Work program, we also have incentives in place. We offer that same $300 stipend, and we also offer 1 free 3-credit-hour class to Lawson State on the credit side as well. And also for the next class, just like we're going to offer the iPads for the logistics training, that grant falls under Ready to Work as well. So either class, it's kind of a toss-up on who get the ones that we have to offer. So our Ready to Work is definitely something that we offer year-round, and it's a really good option for individuals to go through to get some type of work training. Now, next slide, please. So under our corporate services, we also do customized training as well. For example, we're working with ASIPCO right now to do Microsoft Office training for their lead techs and also their HR department. So that's kind of an example of what we do under our corporate services. We're also working with U.S. Steel to do like blueprint training, things like that. We're pretty busy. And just a couple of other things that we're working on. For example, we're working with Councilwoman Wardane Alexander under a UNUM project. We received grant funds, and we partnered with Buffalo Rock under that umbrella, where we're actually going to offer Ready to Work, our logistics certification, a forklift certification. Buffalo Rock has a piece where they're going to do some type of Buffalo Rock culture training within that as well. The training is going to go about 5 to 6 weeks. Once they complete that particular training, then they'll go to work as a full-time employee for Buffalo Rock. We also partner with Jefferson County Schools to offer the Logistics Academy, where students come twice a week and they do the logistics training on campus. They do all the hands-on training, and once they complete the Logistics Academy, they'll be offered a job with some of the employer partners. That's pretty much everything more in a nutshell that we have to offer on the, what we call the non-credit side, which is workforce development. And if you have any questions, I'd like to pass it back to you. So
You all definitely have a lot going on. It sounds good. I know I heard a SIPCO, I heard U.S. Steel. We also need to see if we get O'Neill Steel as a partner over there as well. But wanted to pass it to my colleagues to see if they had any questions or comments that they wanted to make, and then I'll kind of make some statements. So I'll go with you, Councilor Woods. I don't know if you had anything. Councilor Quinn.
Wow, it's a lot. I mean, I had a sense that you guys offered pretty much everything that a person could want in order to get started in a career. But it's great. So with the classes, I think that most people are trying to do these at night or, like I said, virtual. I mean, are most of the courses offered in the evenings or that sort of thing?
Yes, the majority of our courses are either offered virtually or in the evening, depending on what course it is or the instructor that we choose, their availability. We can kind of determine that class meets. Like for our medication aid class, we have a total of I want to say about 38 students in that class. So what we did was we staggered the schedule, and so we just split the class in half. So group 1 meets Monday, Wednesday, and group 2 meets Tuesday, Thursday. So on the days that group 1 doesn't come, they actually log in live virtually through Zoom on Tuesday, vice versa for the other group. The majority of our courses, really for the past 2 years, we had no choice but to offer it virtually. But right now, since things are kind of opening back up, we are opening the campus to hands-on training courses, for example, like the welding. We could offer the welding training. Now that things are open back up, we're allowed, relaxed. The mask is more of a optional, I guess you could say. So, we're offering more of the courses on campus, but most of the people who come through our programs are going to be more of non-traditional students. So most of them do work like a day job, and what they're trying to do is come back, get retrained, get some particular upskill, and get maybe raised on the job or get some type of promotion, or just find a good paying job.
Yeah. And so some of the courses have, some costs associated with them, but it sounds like there's also other courses that are, either no cost or there's actually an incentive for people to take that course. That's right?
Yep, that is correct. We definitely try to create programs that are not too expensive, but at the same time, we try to have an option for pocket, and that's where the WIA funds come in. We also have the state of Alabama was awarded, I think, a little over $17 million for what we call the AWSP, Alabama Workforce Stabilization Program. Pay for the actual training, and that business will be refunded. A lot of different options out there when you're talking about programs that we promote and that we offer. We make sure that that particular person or that particular business doesn't have to directly pay out of pocket unless they're not. Everything across the board. Yeah.
Awesome. Council Wood.
Yeah, I was familiar with most everything except for the corporate services piece. And so is that kind of, just for clarity, y'all will basically provide like continuing education type or additional training to existing businesses?
Yes, we offer training for existing businesses, and we do, because we're under the workforce umbrella, we have the liberty of customizing that particular training. So, for example, just like we work with the zip code. 8 weeks. So, we could go in, the company could say, hey, we need basket weave. We need you to teach our employees how to weave baskets, and we could do that. We don't have any particular red tape. We don't have to follow more of what you call the SACS accreditation to offer a specific curriculum. If you want to come in on Saturdays and basket weave, and that's what we'll do. Basically, so we customize that training based on that particular company's need. And so there's a lot of funding out there for companies if they don't have training dollars, where we could do some research and get some workforce dollars for them to upskill their employees. For example, I talked about the AWSP funds, and also through the community college system, we have workforce dollars. It's called an existing industry training grant, where if a company is based out of Alabama, you have a lifetime of $60,000 that you have access to for training your particular employees. But each application that we submit for that particular company, the max is $15,000 unless we get some type of approval from the board.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, Doctor, we greatly appreciate you coming through again and sharing all this information. Lawson State, it sounds like a one-stop shop. You pretty much, go in any direction and be successful with any program that you choose. And so we thank you for the service that you all provide to the constituent or to the citizens here. We look forward to working with you and finding ways to help push more people to you all's campus and to you all's services. Thank you. On to new business. I wanted to announce some vacancies that we have on the Youth Advisory Commission. The Youth Advisory Commission has 6 vacancies that have a 4-year term associated with them. You must be a resident of Birmingham. Some of the more specific duties is you will be responsible for conducting comprehensive need assessments of youth programs, responsible for reviewing all programs that are youth-oriented that receive or request city funding or support. You would also be responsible for finding ways to better coordinate the program in order to optimize youth opportunities and implementation of a challenge grant program to encourage creative and or innovative community youth programs. To apply, go to birminghamal.gov/boards and agencies and look for Youth Advisory Commission. Today we do not have any announcements from the Birmingham City Schools. I wanted to pass it over to my colleagues. I didn't know if you all had any announcements that you all wanted to make or any statements. I want to make sure everybody leave with hearts and minds clear. Councilor O'Quinn?
Doing a good job, Mr. Chair. So thank you for continuing to bring these groups to us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Councilor Woods? Well, cool. Well, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Awesome. We are adjourned. Thank you.